So my name is Soheila Sokhanvari, and I used to be a scientist. My first degree was in biochemistry, and I worked for Cambridge University until 2005. And at 2005, I took a leap of faith, and I left for the career that I always wanted to do, which was to be an artist. Because from the age of 4, I wanted to become an artist. My father was a fashion designer and a fashion model, and he taught me how to do art, and I wanted to become an artist, but my mother would not let me to follow my dreams. So in 2005, I left and I did a degree at Chelsea College of Art and Design, and then I finished my MFA at Goldsmith in 2011. So since 2011, I've been working as a multimedia artist and making paintings and drawings and sculpture. So the themes of my art is basically to do with the collective trauma and the subsequent amnesia that comes with it. And the focus of my art is pre-revolutionary, that's pre-1979, from the politics of Iran. Because since I left Iran in 1978, so I left Iran a year before the revolution. And the revolution happened behind my back, as it were. And I feel like my whole country changed this culture behind my back. So I'm just trying to make sense of it all. If my art is always about my trying to make sense of what happened and why it happened and what was the consequences of it for women. So my focus is, the reason I paint a lot of women is because women in Iran and the images have been banned by the government, and they have been the martyrs of this revolution. So this is why I've focused on the plight of women. So the title of the exhibition is after the 1974 music by David Bowie, and David Bowie is my favorite pop star, and I think Rebel Rebel kind of captures the mood of the Iranian people, because I think Iranian women have always been rebels. And yes, you're right. The idea that these prominent women, because up until 2018, my focus was telling this collective story of Iranian women through my mother, really, because I was using my family photographs and my mother was my muse. So I used the family album to tell these stories, and then I just thought to myself, the story of Iranian women artists was very close to my heart, because as a female artist, I was thinking to myself, how would I feel if I was banned from my platform? And then on top of that, after the revolution, because they were banned from doing singing and dancing, and the poetry was banned, and whether they were writers or whether they were poets, I actually got banned. I had no one to go back to. It was just the utmost heart-wrenching story that I felt like the story was burning in my chest for 43 years. And I had to tell the story. I had to tell the story, and I felt like, because they were all rebels, in order to become who they were, to achieve that stardom, I had to tell the story. I had to kind of give them their voices back, and I had to put them back on a platform where they could sing and dance again. That's why there's a soundtrack, there's a soundscape of the women singing, and there was women dancing in the hologram. So I think it was opportunity to put them back on the platform that they've been robbed from. Okay, so in 2019, I got the commission from the Eleanor Nern, who's a senior curator at Barbican to perform, to kind of suggest an all immersive exhibition for the curve. And I don't know if you can imagine a curve which is literally a building which is curved. So you can't see, as you enter the space, you can't see what happens at the end of it. And the walls are 6 meters tall and the space is 90 meters long. So it's a very kind of a massive space. And my miniature paintings would have gotten lost in this kind of like a massive architecture. So I decided that I wanted to put the attention down to my miniatures. And for this, I kind of created I kind of come up with the idea that it should be painted in Islamic geometric patterns. And the geometric patterns are sort of like stars. They're like rosettes of like it's a very typical Moroccan style, actually, which is often used in Iran. And it was a pattern which I kind of have been very drawn towards, because it's a very beautiful and very calming pattern. And for your information, the reason Islamic architectures like mosques and buildings like this are decorated and every space in a mosque is actually decorated in a very kind of hyper patterned way, is in order to create a delirium in a viewer. So as you enter the space of a mosque, you are so overwhelmed by beauty that you actually lose your sense of self and you start contemplating God. And so for me, I wanted to create a temple for these women. For me, the monolith, as you enter the space, is covered in 27,000 pieces of mirror. And the mirrors are actually glittered by myself and my husband. And it's got all these tiny little stars on it. And the stars are in geometric patterns of Islamic pattern again. And the stars are meant to represent the idea of the stars of cinema. There are paintings within each rosette, and there's 28 women that I've chosen to represent, and they're all pioneers in their own field. With the first woman in the series being a portrait of Ruhangi Saminejad, which is the first woman who appeared in an Iranian cinema without a veil. It was a film called Lore Girl, and the film had to be done in Bombay because in 1934, when the film was, in 1933 actually, when the film was made, it was still forbidden for women in Iran to appear without a veil. So the film had to be made in Bombay. And when it was released in Iran in 1934, although it was very well received by the people, the actress was, received lots of negative and feedback, and she had a lot of death threats and violent sort of violence against her. So despite the fact that she had all these threats, she made two further films. So that's why she was a rebel, right? The fact that she was sort of like very, very tenacious in her fight against patriarchy. And after that, she actually stopped acting, and she lived in hiding for the rest of her life because she started getting death threats from her family. So, and that's the first portrait as you kind of enter the exhibition, and then you kind of go along the way, and you end up with the last portrait, which is last woman who appeared in a film Farsi, which is a film called The Deer, and The Deer was a film that was being shown in the on Cinema Rex, that was an important event in Iran. Now, in 1978, in August 1978, Cinema Rex was sorry, I feel very emotional. So Cinema Rex was was the place where Islamists closed the door, locked door on the people as they were watching this film, The Deer. And they poured petrol on the cinema door, and they poured petrol inside the cinema, and they set it alight, and they killed 470 people. And that was the last time that the Iranian cinema showed a woman that was unveiled. And after that, because the people believed that it was an act that was instigated by the Shah's secret police and not the Islamists. The Islamists successfully managed to blame Shah's secret police, and that event actually started the revolution in Iran. So the exhibition ends with the last film Farsi that was shown in Iran. It tells narrative, in a kind of like a line of events that sort of led to that moment. So, and then along the way, you come across two holograms that show women dancing inside it as like a ghostly figures. And that you can see on one side is dancing woman, and on the other side of the hologram you can't see anything. So there's you can actually see like a portal through the center of this sculpture, and that's because and the height of the sculpture is at a level that not only can you see it if you are in a wheelchair, but you actually, as a person, you have to kneel down and you have to bow down as like a homage to these women. You have to actually bow down to see them. So for me, it was very important to kind of make sure that people can see these holograms by paying them homage. And as you come to the end of the exhibition, you are confronted with a 3-meter star, a 3 meter by 3 meter star, which is made out of a two-way mirrors, acrylic mirrors, and inside this mirror there's 20-minute worth of film, which is consists of all the extracts that are edited out of the film Farsi films, where these women that are on the portraits they appear. So it's actually a very kind of, and then there's a soundscape over the top as well. So the women are actually singing in this soundscape as well. So it's a very immersive experience. You have the floors and the walls that have been stenciled and they've been hand painted, and then there's this kind of like an experience that you have the sound and you have the images and you have them dancing and you have them singing. So you have a real experience of Iran, as it were. You get drenched in Iranian culture. So and then I've closed the end and exit to the exhibition, so you have to walk back on yourself as you see the exhibition, and you have to walk back on yourself to get out of the exhibition. So that's kind of that's what the exhibition's like. But this is a strategy because I was interested in creating a as you know, the stories are very sad, and what happened to this woman is very tragic, and there's a lot of trauma involved, and I had to have beauty there to kind of to keep you warm, as you kind of come in as a viewer, and you're enveloped in this feeling of warmth and beauty, and I carry you through this exhibition, cloaked you in this kind of immersive way. Because if you just confront somebody with the ugliness of something, then it's too violent for the viewer to actually take all that in. It become overwhelming. I didn't want to. I had to set up a scenario where people could actually feel safe, and it's like having a spoonful of sugar to make the medicine go down, as it were. So you have to have a little bit of sugar to add to the bitterness of what you actually been confronted with. So yeah, that was the reason I did this. As you know, my paintings uses the technique, the medieval technique of egg tempera, which is a very zen and very kind of slow technique. It takes me 6 to 12 weeks to finish a tiny painting. And egg tempera is a technique which involves grinding pigment and adding it to egg yolk and putting it on parchment. So in a way, my paintings are like modern illuminations. The patterns that so a lot of the photographs that are found from these women, and a lot of photographs from 1950s and 1940s and 1960s, they were black and white. And this is why the skin color of these women are actually black and white as well, because they kind of come from this the source, which is a black and white photograph. And because they're black and white, they're actually they kind of lack the pattern, the colors that I kind of add to them afterwards. So it's like paying them homage. I think I kind of make them so I wanted to kind of give them some sort of like because making the paintings like labor of love for me, I think it's like giving them homage by making it very decorative for them. And I was trying to actually create a scenario where the patterns actually symbolizes both the cultures of the East and West, because these women actually were caught between the Western modernization ideals from the Pahlavi regime and also their traditional background, which was sort of like holding them back, to the like grounding them, as it were. So I had to use the patterns as a symbol for the fact that they were actually torn between these Eastern and Western ideals. So I think it's different grades of feminism in Iran. And so I think although a lot of these women would not have understood the idea of feminism or would have agreed as themselves as feminists, I am a feminist, so I kind of see what they were trying to do, and I see that as a feminist act, so I kind of call them feminists, if you see what I mean. And so and these women were actually really confronting patriarchy and misogyny at this height. I think even during the Pahlavi regime, there was this major stumbling block for the Iranian women that couldn't kind of leap over this idea that men really, despite the fact that there was this striving for modernization, they were just trying to hold women back. Yes, I mean, the exhibition is very timely, but I could feel the electricity in the air. There was like this kind of electricity that was crackling in the air, and I could feel that. And I think it was a serendipity as well that the opening of the show happened at the same time as the latest protest, which is now still continuing, and it's now, I think, a feminist revolution, the world's first an all-female revolution, which is like for the first time in the history of Iran, men are standing shoulder to shoulder with women for the first time, and they're demanding basic rights for women. And I think that is an amazing experience for us as women, to see that men are kind of striving to get equality for women. That's really amazing. I feel like I'm actually trying to stop myself. I'm actually shaking with I don't know if you can feel the emotion in my voice, but every time I speak about my project, because it's so close to my heart. My project is like very much my heart and my soul and my kidneys and everything is invested in this project. So I feel the plight of these women. I feel, I'm here in this country, and I have so many rights, and I take so much for granted. And my sisters and my mothers and my daughters in Iran are actually they just want to have the basic human rights, and it's just like something that the rest of us are taking every day for granted. And they just want that. They just want to have the opportunity to go to university, to study, to get a job, to wear what they want. That's amazing, which is like something I don't really expect, something I've never really been into social media before. I'm not a part of Twitter. I don't really do Facebook, but the only thing I have is Instagram. And I've had lots of private messages on Instagram. People are just writing to me and saying, or emailing me and telling me, I really enjoyed the show. It was like a incredible moment for me and my mom, or me and my family. Or like this, they like to me to say, I have experienced this and I remember my childhood. But the experience of actual people's responses have been really incredible, because I have been in the show, like without being known as an artist, as the artist of the exhibition. And experiencing people's responses to my show has been incredible. I just didn't expect this. I've experienced people crying, standing in front of my star with their arms stretched out and crying. There's a guy who was, I think he must have been in his 60s, and he just stood in front of the star, opened his arms and burst out crying. And I just felt like, I don't know how to actually get, my mind, it blows my mind, because I don't know how to actually deal with this, because I don't want to go and give him a hug, because I would cry myself. I don't know what to do. But it's been the biggest learning curve of my life as an artist. I think to learn from the audience has been an incredible gift for me.